Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Lindsay and I will be covering different news headlines. We want this to be interactive. So, as we cover each headline, share your comments in the chat. We'll show them on screen and address them as well. So, let's just start with quick introductions. Lindsay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
If you guys can't read, I'm Lindsay Rosenthal. I've been on LinkedIn for a bit now. I focus a lot more on the power of video content to grow your brand, grow your company. But I talk a lot about AI and use cases and how it's going to affect the future of business, future of education, and the future of Gen Z. So that's my background. What about you over there, Andrew?
So, for me, I have a deep background in marketing. I started covering AI in the last 7, 8 months on LinkedIn. Most of what I do in AI is helping companies optimize their marketing and sales by using different AI tools. And I've already touched on this. I'm based in Chicago and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So people tell me a lot that they always see my posts in their feed, which is always nice.
Always. If you guys ever need tools to check out, Andrew is the best person to we post my favorite things that you post are those 100 carousels. I go through those and I start implementing from those. Those are definitely the best thing I feel like that you post. It's super helpful.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Funny thing about those is that long carousels are not doing as well for me anymore on LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn is just shifting away from
As they
prioritizing
do.
carousels.
Into video they go.
Yeah, yeah. So video and short form is doing a lot better. With that, we'll now dive into this week's AI news.
Cool, let's do it. Okay, so this was something I was really excited to talk about. I did a post on it today, but I think it's probably some of the biggest AI news that we've seen yet this year. So twofold. So first of all, Reddit just announced their IPOing. It is the first IPO of a social media company since 2019 when Pinterest went live. At the same time, they also announced an AI content licensing deal earlier this week. It was actually who it was partnering with, and it was Google. No surprise here. But what is so huge about this information is I was already very bullish on Google and their ability to win with AI because they have so much data. And as all of these other models converge and have similar offerings with their AI chatbots and their AI things, because they're all as fast or as accurate with its responses, it's really going to come down to the power of data that really stands out ahead on who's actually going to come out on this AI race. And Google, for example, has Google Workspace, now Reddit, Google Search, and they also have YouTube, which YouTube is going to be just the mega gold mine of this whole AI, the whole AI race. Because so ChatGPT, if you guys don't know, is trained about 40% on Common Crawl. And Common Crawl is about 10 petabytes of data. And YouTube, for example, has 1 petabyte of data uploaded every single day, and they're about in total like 2,000 to 3,000 petabytes of data. So basically, Google is a powerhouse when it comes to its data, which I think will ring true to how they're going to come forward in the AI race. But what are your thoughts on this, Andrew, when it comes to Reddit and Google?
Yeah, I think Google is finally catching up to OpenAI and ChatGPT. So first it was Gemini, and Gemini Advanced is a lot better. They also have that huge user base with Google Workspace, and now getting access to Reddit's data as well, which is the biggest repository of like user created content, and it's in real time, and they also covers the news. With all of that, what's really cool is that Google can integrate a lot of AI features into the tools people are already using. It's a huge advantage. Like you don't even have to go to ChatGPT or something else to get your work done. In Google Workspace, you can access a lot of the features and there'll be more integration. So I think it's very exciting.
Yeah, I think this will be a huge use case because while we live in a bubble with all of our AI news, there's a lot of people that maybe know ChatGPT, but they don't really know all the other use cases and capabilities with AI. But they do use Google Docs. They do use their Excel version. What is it called? Sheets. They do use Google Sheets. So once these AI capabilities are built into the product, I think this is where we'll see like more of this like massive AI adoption when people are starting to have this be part of their problem solving workflow and experience. I think this will be huge. And I also think it's going to be interesting because Google kind of won like search back, I don't know, was it
Yeah.
2000? I don't know when the whole search situation was happening, but they won search. And I feel like this is their opportunity to come in and win when it comes to AI. But I want to hear your thoughts though, because OpenAI, like first mover advantage, they announced $7 trillion a raise situation, more maybe on the chip side of things, but that's obviously going to bleed into the ability to have great models and a great product. So do you think Sam Altman and their $7 trillion, or do you think Google and its 2,000, 3,000 YouTube petabyte resource?
I think that's a great question. I think both can coexist because it's a different user base. So the people using ChatGPT right now are a lot of the early adopters, people like me, you, who like the prompts. They're playing with different GPTs. They're creating like a lot of workflows in there. So I would say those are more of the AI enthusiasts. Casual people use ChatGPT as well, but from what I hear, it's just like short prompts, short every once in a while. The advantage with Google and integrating like Gemini into Google Workspace is that you don't even have to prompt AI to use AI. So as you're doing some work, AI can see what you're doing and say, hey, would you like a chart for this data that you've just input to help you figure out X? Like they can see that you're doing a specific type of data and suggest a report for you. So that's what like, I think Google has a much bigger advantage with the more casual user who's just using Workspace and doesn't necessarily have the time to learn like how to use ChatGPT or OpenAI's products.
Yeah, I like it. I like the focus on the different like customer segment. For example, there's a lot of building going around like the OpenAI ecosystem with the GPT store. Everyone's building GPTs. All these companies are coming in and building GPTs, which are really good like segues. If you have a good GPT, like people want to look into the company that built it because there's that little like link right there. And so I feel like it's a good takeaway that it's gonna be different use cases, different people using both, and maybe they can both win. Maybe it's not one versus the other, but it was back with the sort of search, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
okay. Okay, next one. This one was super interesting. This one kind of popped off on LinkedIn, but there was a report that was done. They analyzed 5 million freelancing jobs, see which jobs are being replaced by AI. There was a super interesting graph that kind of went around that I wanted to touch on. But this graph was super interesting. So basically, change in number of Upwork jobs since ChatGPT was released. I think the ones that stand out the most, obviously, writing, translation, customer service. These are the main, like, low-hanging fruit use cases that we're seeing really pop up when it comes to AI's capabilities. Obviously, writing, boom, like, you can have an output so fast. We're seeing all of these really awesome customer service AI chatbots pop up, and so I feel like that this is no surprise. One thing that's actually really surprising is this came out obviously before all of Sora updates, and obviously Sora is not even available to the people right now, but having this huge bar of video is an interesting one. And obviously I'm very passionate about my video situation, but I think this one's a super interesting thing to keep an eye on because video, for one, is just blowing up when it comes to TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and it's coming more to LinkedIn as well. And this is obviously there's been a rise with ChatGPT. So there's been a rise with Upwork job wanting to help people create their video, especially when it comes to video editors. But this is going to be interesting to see how this chart changes once the models that's like text to video come out. I wonder if this is going to change the chart a little bit where there's maybe less video editing production, especially with companies wanting to create B roll when you can actually just prompt Sora to do this for you. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah. I think a lot of resistance right now to companies, especially like small companies putting out video content is all the editing and the effort required. And then working with external editors, the fact that you can prompt, get a bunch of different ideas or concepts, review those, and then probably continue to refine them with text prompts. I think this will make video and video marketing a lot more accessible to different people. What is interesting about that chart though, Lindsay, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Should writers be worried if there's a big drop in writing jobs at Upwork and things like that since ChatGPT came out and AI is being used more?
No, I think it's a good question. I don't think they should be worried. I think they should be more focused on how they're going to switch their strategy. So in the past, they charged X amount of money per blog post. Obviously, that amount of money per blog post has decreased. It used to take a full week to write a blog. You had to do all the research, the writing, the reviewing, the rewriting, the research. It just took forever as a week. Now the same blog can be written in maybe an hour. So you're saving a ton of time. So you're going to have to able to pass on that cost saving down to the client as well. And the client knows that you're able to use ChatGPT. Like they're not living in a rock. They know you're going to use ChatGPT to first make that first draft with that blog post. And so if you're a writer, I would be empowered to first be able to give more output to your clients. You don't just get to give them one blog post, you give them many more. Second is you can have more clients now. You don't have to spend all of your time on this one client because it takes so much time to write one blog post. And for two, you can even come alongside the client and come alongside your writing creation as more of a like an AI content development helper and teach them how to use the AI and like the best systems, the best processes that you use it. And so just not being worried about your jobs going away forever, but more of using it as a tool to make you a better writer. And the people that do that will be fine. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. The other thing, and I have a friend of mine who does this, like he started out as a copywriter. When ChatGPT came out and became popular, he shifted into writing prompts and he actually became a prompt engineer. Within a short period, he was writing a lot of the complex backend prompts that companies like Copy.ai and those types of companies use in their software in the backend. And he was telling me that now he generates a lot more income from the prompt engineering side because basically to write great prompts, you need to be a good writer because you have to communicate a lot of like voice, tone, a lot of constraints, which if you're a good writer, you know how to do. If you're not a good writer, you probably wouldn't know how to do it. And you're right. I think what I'm seeing too, even a lot of the big ghostwriters, even on LinkedIn, a lot of them are creating their own GPTs. They're leaning more into AI and even helping like showing people how to use AI for writing. So if you can use it to scale your writing and take on more clients, I think, yeah, I think it makes up in maybe the drop of projects and things like that because you can be just more efficient with your time.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, this isn't the first time that content creation and like marketing has changed. We used to have like, newspapers and then it went to TV and then it went to social media. And if you were like a newspaper writer and we went to TV, you're not going to be like, oh, like newspaper writers are dead. That's not the case. Like you just have to switch and transition with the technology. It's not the first time. Like maybe it's the first time for us Gen Z that's actually seen like a technology shift, but a lot of people who have been in the industry for a while has been through this shift of skills and focus when it comes to technology. I think just taking it with a similar mindset is the way to go.
Yeah, no, and you're right. Like I've seen this too, even with like website development early on, you had to hire someone to build your website and design it and develop it. Now you can just use a tool that'll build a website for you pretty quickly. What a lot of those people did is they shifted into things like SEO, how to drive traffic to websites, and they started offering that as a service to the same clients that they used to do website development and design for.
Yeah. No, great one. Do you want to see if there's any comments or anything interesting? I think Kayla, yeah, Kayla, you had a really good thought. To writers who need to devise a smart strategy to leverage ChatGPT because brainstorming is a breeze these days. Brainstorming when it comes to content creation took everything. Like the research took hours, the brainstorming took hours. And now this is done so fast. And so I think just switching, that was a good thought.
Yeah, and then this is another one from Rob about how, yeah, good writers can write good prompts, and it's about pivoting and adapting.
Yeah. 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 You also said, yeah, this one's a good one too. Widely into automation tools. I think another really big thing that we're going to be shifting into soon that you guys all should really pay closely attention to is AI agents. This is going to be a massive technological shift. There was this one company that I did a demo on the week or two ago called Multion. You basically just say, make me a meeting with Andrew for next week at 3 p.m. And it
Yeah.
your Gmail or your email account books the meeting, sends the link to the call, and then it's done. And so right now we're moving from AI chatbots to soon like this AI to be able to do things for you. And so they're gonna be acting more as like virtual assistants and taking more action day to day. And I think that's going to be something that we're gonna have to really keep an eye on when it comes to use cases for business or use cases if you want to build something around AI chatbots. But that's our AI agents. That's gonna be a big one to keep an eye on. Have you heard much about that?
Yeah, you could pretty much like using agents, you can build like a mini team of different workers or whatever is how to think of it. So yeah, I think that's pretty exciting.
Here, I have we have to go into this one because this one kind of goes
Okay.
perfectly off of that one, but it's
Sure.
the whole, like, AI avatars with here, let me share it.
Yeah, that's I think that's a cool one. Yeah.
That one's a really cool one. Okay. So this one is super interesting. Basically, so Otter, they are announcing the CEO is saying that you could have a kind of an AI agent show up to your meeting for you, which is going to be interesting. We'll talk about this in a second. But instead of, let's say you have 10 meetings a day, very time intensive, 10 meetings, 30 minutes, like you're taking hours just spending time in meetings. And a lot of times meetings aren't the best use of time. Like,
Uh,
you just go in there, you're asking about the weather in Chicago, and then you're, like, finally, like, you dive into the topic, and then you have to go and look at the notes again and follow up over email, but having this some sort of, like, an agent go into the call for you, grab the information. My caveat to this is that, like, what if it's, like, more like a one-on-one or, like, a one-on-three, like, that wouldn't really work very well because it's more you have to have, like, more of a conversation with the person on the screen. So I think this could be an interesting use case for someone that's really busy and more of a CEO that then there's a lot of like company meetings going on. So there's a team check in here, there's a team check in here. Maybe you have your marketing team checking in, maybe you have your software development team checking in. You don't have time to hop in all these check-ins. Instead, having your agent hop into the marketing team check-in, the content development team check-in, the go-to-market team check-in, all that stuff. And then having it to be able to grab the information, summarize it, and give it to you in a nice little document. I think this is where this is going to come in. It already is a bit like you could send like an Otter Copilot or something into a
yeah,
meeting
you can-
and bring it back. Yes. But having this, like maybe having an automatic, like the multi-on, for example, like an automatic entry into this meeting, having it summarize and then deliver it to you at the end of the day, having it be more of an automatic process versus like setting it by yourself and sending them the link, have it be more automatic. I think this could be a huge tool for CEOs and company leaders to be able to understand a better picture of their company through the use of more of an AI agent. But what are your thoughts on that?
yeah, I think a lot of meetings I used to have when I had office jobs were status check-ins, like check-ins on big projects, going around and get an update from everyone. A lot of times meetings are almost used more for accountability or project management. So what Otter is working on is pretty cool. I think if it's tied into a project management tool like Asana or Trello and your notes are up to date, then your agent can give the update on your behalf. They can then also share the notes with you, and the whole thing can almost be automated where you wouldn't need to go in yourself. One of the interesting things that article mentioned too is that if your agent gets a question they can't answer, they can in real time send you the question for you to type an answer and then basically communicate it on your behalf, which I think is pretty interesting. I also think another side effect of something like this is it will encourage people to have less meetings unless they really need. I think having agents in there will actually make it so that you're not setting up hopefully as many meetings.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think the agent thing is, it's funny because it will only work like in the meetings that occur. So I think there's still going to be like those one-on-one check-ins, like those things like where you get head to head and build something out or talk through a big company problem. Those are still going to happen, but being able to like I feel like these agents are more going to be impactful in the bigger like team check-ins with the bigger companies. I think that's really going to come in. I think the integrations with more CRM or integrations with the management teams is going to be huge. I think that's going to be super interesting. Or even just having like a customer sale, like a sales associate AI
Yeah.
agent where it hops into every customer call to grab the information. I'm sure this already exists, but to grab the information from the customer call, throw it directly into the customer, like just a CSM thing, and then be able to follow up with like exactly what they or even be able to grab feedback like at wide scale. I think just
Yeah.
having AI agents to facilitate better communication that's like less things falling through the cracks. I think this will be the biggest use case with this, for example.
Yeah, and it also makes a lot of things so, like, when you hire a new employee and they're going through a bunch of training materials, if that material can be delivered by an agent, and the agent can also ask questions, they can answer the new employee's questions. It just makes things like training and onboarding and things like that a lot
Yeah,
more.
I don't think this will be as agent yet. I
Yeah.
think it'll be more GPT. I think it'll be where all the company information, like the best practices, how it works is all gonna be loaded into a GPT. And then from there, like, it takes you through like a training course type of thing with videos. Like, now we can have videos generated in an instant. So videos, and you can ask questions to the GPT, but I think more of a GPT situation will be probably how we will move to company onboarding as well. That's a good point.
Yeah, even that. Yeah, I think even that is a lot more dynamic and interactive than how it's done now.
Yeah, for sure. This one is super interesting. I think it ties back into our whole Google talk at the beginning of this, but they're predicting search engine volume will drop to 25% by 2020 with AI chatbots and other virtual agents. Not surprised by this one bit. I'm sure people who are using ChatGPT are as well. I've already found myself going to Gemini and ChatGPT and Perplexity, especially some of these models that are really trained, like really connected to the internet super well. Going to these ones for answers versus just going to straight up Google. Like I still go to Google for some things that are like more pointed, but I think this is going to become more of the habit of humanity with going to the AI chatbots because instead of giving us a bunch of links to a bunch of different documents and blogs and stuff, it gives you just an answer straight up. I think this is a better user experience, just having the answer versus having to go search for it through Google. So I'm not surprised by this at all. And I also think that it'll be interesting to see how Google repositions themselves if it's gonna have Google.com have there be their search
Yeah.
engine in 2026 or if it's going to be more of a Gemini type thing. And it's like we've seen some of this shift already, but that's 2 years from now, like, week to week, so much is happening. So it's gonna be interesting to see how these tools come to be in 2 years from now, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, when you think about it now, the search experience is actually a pretty bad one now that we have AI tools because you search for something, you have to open a bunch of different links. You're typically getting different pieces from different websites if you're doing a report or researching a topic. All of that takes a lot of time. And then there's a lot of these websites that sneak in that are maybe SEO optimized that don't even have good information. They're just repeating the question and have like blocks of text. So if an AI, like I think using AI tools is just way more efficient, it's faster, and it creates like a lot of cool use cases where after you get the results like from an AI tool, you can then ask it to build a slide deck for you or generate some images for you to use or things like that that you can't really do with a search engine.
Yeah, I think it just goes way back to the whole having it integrated within Google Workspace or more of a Microsoft Copilot. Like maybe we won't even go to a search engine bar or search like it'll be just whatever you're doing natively within your workflows, it'll be right there. And so you're asking it for a document to be created for you at the same time you ask it what's the weather like tomorrow in Chicago.
Yeah.
But you just I think it's gonna be more just native and integrated into everything that we're doing versus going out and it's just the time saved. I think that's the biggest thing with AI. The time saved is going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So, Lindsay, should we go ahead and wrap up?
Yeah, is there any questions? Let's just, like, make sure there's no other
Sure.
questions.
Yeah. Any questions? It looks like we have 85 people live.
Cool. Super interesting. I just feel like these as the AI improves, it becomes everything that comes to be with them becomes faster and faster. I feel like we're just upticking and upticking with the number of massive AI announcements. And so and it's for example, it's 25% of search engine usage by 2026. We don't even know what's gonna be happening by end of March on that end. So I think it's just gonna be interesting to see how this plays out and how these tools we become better workers in general too.
Yeah. And the fast pace too is just a lot of fun. There's always new things coming out. There's always new features. And a lot of these things too just create new use cases that you didn't know were possible. So it's pretty cool.